Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lingua Loom. Today we're going to start another episode of the Language of Linguistics series, which is Language Endangerment and Death. So before starting the video, please do like, subscribe and share and do comment. It means quite a lot for the channel. There were 7,000 plus languages alive today, but 3,000 approximation it is not exactly that figure, endangered right now are, and 90% may be gone by 22nd century. One language dies every 2 weeks, so this is not a random statement. We'll just see it later how it's justified. So UNESCO classification, language danger scale. UNESCO's Atlas of the World's Language in Danger, given in 2010, classifies endangered languages across 6 levels. The key factor is intergenerational transmission, which is all kids learning the language at home. So let's look at safe languages, all ages, all generations speak it, children acquire it naturally at home, such as English, Mandarin, and Spanish, whereas vulnerable ones are most adults. Most children speak it, but they may be restricted to certain domains which are home only, like Vero, Estonian. And the third one is definitely endangered. Adults only speak it, children no longer learn it as a mother tongue in their home. Romani, which is spoken in Europe, and severely endangered language, which is spoken by grandparents. Parents may understand, but they don't use it with their children. So Dalmatian, formerly spoken in Croatia. Then comes critically endangered language. A handful of elders speak it, younger speakers or grandparents are older, not used in daily life at all. Like this language from Botswana, Seychelles, something like that. Then extinct, no speaker at all, no speaker remain, the language is dead. For example, this language dead in 1992, Uzbek. So this symbol means extinct. So this language, once spoken in Caucasus, died with its fluent speaker. Well, this one is the speaker. And October 7, 1992. So not spoken anymore at all. So why languages die? Root cause. What is the root cause? Language die is never accidental. It is the outcome of power, pressure, and policy. One root problem branches into 6 direct killers. First, dominant language pressure. Let's look at them. Okay. First pressure, political. State imposing an official language. So minority language is banned in school and courts. Then come economic. Dominant language open jobs, trade and mobility, speaker shift for survival. Then comes educational, schooling delivered only in majority languages, children punished for speaking home language. Then comes cultural or media, prestige flows to dominant culture, minority speakers internalize shame about their language. Then genocide, speaker community physically destroyed, displaced, or separated, so no community means no language. Then urbanization, rural communities move to cities mixing with speakers of other languages, home language weakens. So the clear example, if to be said, used in this criteria, as in Pakistan, the situation with Punjabi, here it is, you can't say it is one of the endangered language, like on political level, English is imposed to speak, while Urdu is tend to be supposed to, but it is not that much appreciated. Then comes economic. Mostly jobs prefer English-speaking people that don't speak the one with Punjabi, so that's a major factor. Then in educational level, in school, most schools does not allow to speak Punjabi. Then comes cultural media. Here, or dramas or something like that depict Punjabi speakers as illiterate somehow, or someone who is not associated with the modern world. So that's how it is being depicted in our media. Then nothing got to do with genocide. Then urbanization, people move to cities and their English and Urdu mostly preferred, most of all English. So that's why they tend to not use Punjabi as to adjust in that environment. Then domino effect. Economic pressure, parents teach children the dominant language, children never acquire the minority language, a generation later no one is left to pass it on. So like in Punjabi, in case of Punjabi, as it is the mother tongue of Punjab region, but here it is not supported to be spoken very much, or it is appreciated to be spoken. It is not. In fact, it is uh, like pressurized to not speak it, as it is considered not a language of academia or such and sort. Well, the Punjabi language is surviving all thanks to the Sikh community, as they are the dominant speaker of the language. Here in Pakistan, it is not mostly appreciated to speak it in the academic world or on the political level. So that's why we're seeing a decline in the speakers, and here, like it is said, a generation later on, no one is left to pass on because children are supposed to speak in dominant language and they are always pointed out if they speak it, or they're mostly not even allowed to listen to that language, which causes a barrier in understanding, and they somehow neglect it and ignore it like it's not something nice. Then how languages die? Four types of language that not all languages that look the same. Crystal gave this formula in 2000, identifies four distinct mechanisms from sudden catastrophe to quiet abandonment. So the first one is sudden death. The entire speech community is wiped out rapidly through disease, genocide, or natural disaster. No gradual shift. Many indigenous Amazonian languages after European contact happen to have sudden death. Then radical death. The community survives physical destruction but abandons their language rapidly under political terror or social pressure within a generation. For example, languages suppressed under colonial boarding school policies. Here we can just say the Punjabi language. It's not that not everybody forces not to speak it. It is a certain level or certain level of people that do it, but this still plays a major role in how languages are appreciated or deprivated. Then comes gradual death, language shift. The most common type of over generations, a community slowly stops using their language in more or more domain until no speakers is fluently in that. That's Irish, Welsh, or Cornish. Then comes death by mixture. A language is so heavily influenced by dominant neighbor that it loses distinct structure and merges into it. A gradual structural death, that is media lingua, which is Spanish plus Quechua mixed language. Then let's move to what disappears. When a language dies, what exactly is lost? That is the hardest thing to communicate and most important. Language is not just a communication system, it is an irreplaceable archive. So let's see that what is lost, what matters. An example: ecological knowledge. Indigenous languages contain centuries of precise legal observation, that is, plant names, animal behavior, climate patterns, encoded nowhere else. The Seri language, which is from Mexico, has dozens of indistinct terms for types of tidal condition, no Spanish equivalent. Then comes medical knowledge. Traditional pharmacological knowledge is embedded in languages and lost when they die, before it can be scientifically studied. So estimated 25% of modern medicine derives from indigenous plant knowledge. Then comes the third one, which is cognitive diversity. Each language encodes spatial, temporal, and categorical perception differently. Losing one removes the lens through which humans saw the world. Then these are the languages from Australia, uses absolute cardinal directions, not relative left or right. A fundamentally different spatial cognition. So then this is somehow we're going to fix it as the language. It influences our thought, and our thought is influenced by language somehow. Then comes oral literature, myths, histories, songs, and legal codes carried only in language vanish permanently. The entire oral tradition of Eyak, Alaskan language, died with its last speaker, which is Mary Smith Jones. Historical record. Languages preserve migration patterns, contact histories, and social structures invisible in archaeological origin records. The comparative reconstruction of Proto-Indo-European reveals 6,000 years of prehistoric culture. So this shows that language not only is a means of communication, it is a carrier of tradition, culture, and history. So this shows that what a language that means, that it is not that of just a language which is a means of communication, it is that of a race, of a history, of a mindset, of a knowledge. Then the language loss counter. The language loss, since we have opened this page, one language loss approximately every 13 days, that is one every 12,000. 12 lakhs 9,600 seconds. That's quite a lot. So it is good, according to the report of UNESCO. Okay, so till now 231 languages lost since 1950, and 96% of the world uses only 4% of languages, which is quite a lot, a serious situation to be considered. Then Papua and Nigeria, I think, in Nigeria. Sorry, that's Nigeria or Andre. Most linguistically diverse country, or Nicaragua. 840 languages. Papua Ng. Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea, it is a country. Sorry, I kind of skipped my mind, but it's Papua New Guinea. This country is, well, the ratio of the linguistic diversity is really much huge. So let's look at the fighting back. Language revitalisation. Fisherman's 1991 geared scale, which is graded intergenerational disruption scale, maps the stage from death back to vitality. True revitalization requires one thing above all: children speaking the language at home. Everything else is support. So the first step is documentation. Record speakers build grammar, dictionaries, audio and video archives before the last speaker dies. Then community will. The community must want the language to survive. External enthusiasm without internal will always fails. Then comes education, immersion, schools, the language NAS, bilingual programs, children must hear and use the language daily. Then officialization, government recognition, use in media and law gives the language institutional presence and prestige. So Fisherman's critical insight, which is stage 1 to 4, are insufficient. Without the stage, he called stage 8, intergenerational transmission in the home. A language that is spoken in schools and parliaments, but not passed from parents to child, will still die. So the main focus is to speak that language at home. So languages that came back. So it's not that it's entirely difficult or impossible, but it takes a bit of struggle. So revitalization is possible, but it takes decades of political will, community commitment, and resources. These are the most documented cases of successful or ongoing revival. Let's look at them. First one, here we have Hebrew, spoken in Israel, the most extraordinary revitalization in history. Hebrew has no native speaker for 1700 years. It's approximation. Used only in prayers and scholarship. So, Eliezer ben Yehuda began speaking it as a daily language and raising his son in it. Today, 9 million speakers. So, state before revival, no native speaker, but status now is official state language. It is just used, taught it, speaking it to your children, which is the basic step in revitalizing a language. So this is done here, so that's why it has become from deaf language to a live language. Then Welsh. spoken in Wales, UK, Welsh declined severely under English dominance but never died. The Welsh Language Act, which was in 1967, strengthened in 1993, gave it official status. So Welsh bilingual education transforms attitude today. 870,000 plus speakers speak it, taught in Welsh schools too. So you start from him and then you start from school. That's how the languages continue to live on. So the Maori language near collapse in 1970s. Then came the language nest emergent. Preschool began in 1982. Today, Te Maori is an official language of New Zealand, taught in schools and spoken by many people. That is 185,000 people, with numbering growth for the first time in 150 years. So this shows that how languages emerge. It is not just you just say it, okay, we're going to give a rise to something or new language. You have to speak it to children because they are the carrier of history towards the modern future. So what can be done? First, document the language, then transmit it to children, digitalize it, make videos of it so it stays online, videos or just written, anything. Then advocate, push for official status, bilingual educations, then learn that endangered language, like as Duolingo has Irish, Welsh and Hawaiian. Then fund that language, support that languages so that documentation are not free, they cost money and all those processes cost money. So you have to fund that language too. So these are the references from where data has been taken. You can check them out and read them in detail. So this is about language endangerment, and is that it is not just it is something that is taken to be lightly. It is something that is the carrier of generation, carrier of history, carrier of tradition and culture. Preserving a language means you're preserving your entire identity. So to save is to protect endangered languages from going towards death. The only way is to speak it. So that's all for today's video. I hope you understand it. And do comment and please like, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.